Hello everyone, welcome to the second video in the challenge for bad recordings where I take really bad recordings and I try to make something good out of them to show you that there's potential in everything that we record and there is no reason to be afraid of bad things. By the way, if any of you are wondering what happened to my lovely studio, maybe you weren't wondering this because it was the same background in the last video, but I feel the need to explain to you what's going on. I went a little crazy and decided to redesign my entire studio, so now everything is all over the place. So this is just the way it is. I'll figure this out eventually. So today's sound was submitted by Sap. He's one of our moderators on the Sonic Sphere. The sound is right here on the weekly challenge, under the weekly challenge That's Bad Rec. Sap went exceptionally lazy on this one because he submitted a sound recorded by a phone of his air condition unit. Let's listen to it together. By the way, today, because it's a really bad sound, I decided to move to my domain of expertise, which is Ableton, and we're gonna play around with Ableton. You can download this and get, I think it's something like 30 or 60-day trial on Ableton on the full suite. So I highly recommend this. I love this editor just because it has so many things built into it. And I'm going to try to walk you through some of the tools that I'm using here. So Ableton has two types of screens or modes, and many people get confused when they see the first one because it doesn't look like a traditional DAW. Many people are seeing this to begin with, and that looks a little intimidating. So all you need to do to replace it to like the traditional DAW look is to press right here on the top or to hit tab, and that's going to take you to a regular screen where like this is kind of what people are used to seeing, which like we have the timeline and we have the channels. Instead of being on the left, now they're going to be on the right, but they function basically the same. I'm gonna make the channel a little bit bigger so we can see the sound and zoom a little in. This is just control and a scroll bar. Awesome. And now let's listen. Isn't that something? Sap, you're really testing my skills with this one. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to chop all of the beginning. And again, just like in Reaper, I really don't like when it's snapping to things and trying to make me act like this is a song. So what I do is just Command or Control 4, and then I can freely move and chop all of this beginning that is kind of quiet and add those fade-ins that I like. There we go. Now let's listen to it again. Still not that good. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, as we're clicking on a channel in Ableton, it gives me like a channel strip here on the bottom. And this is like all of the effects that I'm adding. So it's, again, the same in Reaper, but it just looks a little different. I think that it's a little more user-friendly than in Reaper that is open source. I'm just gonna, can I make it bigger? I never tried it. No, I can just duck it or make it smaller, like make it the normal size. Anyway, the first thing that I'm gonna add is EQ, and I can just search for it in the search bar, and I'm gonna pick EQ8. So I can see that a lot of the activities are happening on the bottom and there's like some that is happening on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this like shelf here. Sorry, it's a low pass. This is not a shelf. A shelf would have looked like this. This, basically. Actually, we can try a shelf. Which is kind of good, but I think that I want like a low pass. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to filter almost all of the highs and keep only the lows. And then I'm going to take another one of those dots. Let's say this one. Which one is it? Number one. Number one is right here. Right now it's a shelf, but I'm going to change it to be a bell. I'm going to take it up, and I'm going to take the Q down. So I'm going to get like this really narrow band. Somewhere around here. That actually sounds, it sounds like an earthquake that is about to start. So I'm going to layer it with more sounds to make it sound like an actual earthquake. Let's do that. So I'm going to take that channel, make it a little bit smaller, open another channel. So right click and insert audio track. Remember how I told you that in Reaper, you only have one type of a track and it's just track? Here you have MIDI track, audio track, and a return track, which we're not going to get to today, but those are like the reverb and delay and the other effects that you want to send the sound to. So today we're mostly going to be looking at audio and MIDI tracks. Again, this is not going to matter if you're working in Reaper, but today we're in a different editor. I'm going to use, what am I going to use? I'm going to use Soundly to pick some sounds. And I think I already looked for some. Yeah, I looked for wood break. So this is going to make the ground sound like it's cracking and about to break. Just going to pick and highlight the part that I want and drag it in. I'm going to take another one. Let's listen to it. Why not? I'm going to drag it in. Let's take a few more. Let's take this one. What is this? Get out. And now, what else? Okay, the beginning is a little too much, so I'm going to take the ending. Add it around here. Okay, we don't need to process the entire recording. We just need to kind of work on it to just show a principle that sound can turn into something else if you work on it a little bit. So I'm going to chop the original sound to match the length that I need, which is about this much. Oh, what was that? I think there was warp enabled on it. Okay, so warp is trying to take my recording and match it to the BPM. And it's sometimes useful when you're working on songs, so it will like actually match the beat, but it doesn't really help when we do sound design. So we're just going to remove it. And then you see that the clip became a little shorter. It's because it's not adjusting the clip based on the tempo. Let's listen to it now. Okay, much, much better. Okay, and now we want it to be continuous, so like it gets bigger over time. So I'm just gonna do this. Change between them. This one is a lot bigger. I'm gonna move this out here. This one in. Let's try it this way. Let's just put them a little closer to one another. Something like this. And to the channel that plays all of them, firstly, I'm going to take it down in volume, so about -6. So all I do is I take this bar is the volume, and I'm going to take it down to about -6. Even more. -12. Cool. And now I feel like I need to add a reverb. And in this case, I actually know which reverb I want to use. I want to use the hybrid reverb. It's my favorite reverb in Ableton. This one is a hybrid reverb that has a convolution reverb in it, which means that they recorded the reflections of actual rooms. And it has a digital one that they used a computer algorithm to determine how the reverb is going to sound like. So it makes the reverb, like the reverberation of the room, sound more realistic in my ears. Let's just listen to it separately. So I just clicked S for solo. That's way too much. So I'm going to remove the send. So that's controlling how much of my signal gets sent to that hybrid reverb. That's all I need. I need really a tiny bit amount. I'll reduce the volume more. Okay, that's kind of working. Now I want to add to it some like moving rocks or like something that is like kind of rustling in the back. Maybe trees or maybe rocks. Let's try small rocks. No, definitely not. Shaking? Maybe it will find something. I think I need rattling. Rattling. This might work actually. Will it? Let's see. Will it work? Do you think it's gonna work? Maybe if I take the pitch down. So I just double clicked on the clip and now it shows me the entire clip here. And what I can do is go to where it says pitch and there's a little knob and just take it down. Maybe some debris. What can we get for debris? Oh, those little add-ons are great. Simply great. I want to put them in between my cracking sounds, so they're kind of going to fill in between them. Something like that. Cool. Let's see what else we can add. Let's add this one here. No, that's a car debris. Maybe this? No. Oh my God. Are you able to hear the sounds? Guess not. Maybe? I think that you can't hear the sound from soundly. Well, that's okay. I'm going to bring those sounds in and okay, let's listen to them one by one. So we have this one. We have this one. Oh, these are also warped. So we're just going to take them and unwarp them. Sorry guys, I just realized that you can't hear the sound from Soundly, or maybe you can, but I'm looking at the levels on my side and it looks like you can, so. Can actually take two of these. So I'm just gonna take this and duplicate it, Command D, and then take it and put it here and just take the pitch a little bit down. And the last layer sounds like this. This one I know that you can hear. So let's listen to all of them together. That's cool. All right, let's add maybe one more sound because you can't really hear anything from Soundly, so I feel bad for this. And then we'll try different techniques of what to do with that sound. Yeah, I'll add just this one. It's one more debris sound, and I'm gonna put it here while removing this sound that I just duplicated because it sounds too similar to one another. I'm just gonna take this one and put it here. I can keep working on it more and more, but you get the idea, and it's starting to sound like just like the floor is rumbling. If I had more time, I would actually go and look for like sounds of like tiny pebbles or rocks moving and add that in as one of the layers, and then we'll get like this like perfect earthquake sound. If you're interested to hear what it sounds like when I put an effort to a sound and create an earthquake, you can go to Soundly to Artlist, and I sold them a library of earthquakes and thunderstorms and electric storms, and I forgot how it was called, but I'll put a link in the comments. So this was one technique for what to do with SAP's sound. Let's try another thing. Let's just take all of these channels. I'm just gonna hit Alt and then on this like tiny arrow, and it's gonna close all of them. And I'll start somewhere here with a new channel. So I'm gonna do Insert Audio Track. And now we're gonna forget about all of these and look at something else that we can do with that sound. Where was it? Projects. There it is. There's the sound again. We're just going to remove the beginning, open the channel a little bigger. I think that EQ is still needed. EQ8. I'll just put it here just in case. And let's just remove some of the sound. Now, I'm gonna go to my audio effects. And I looked at resonators. And on resonators, what they do is they analyze the sound based on FFT, which is Fourier transfer something. So it's a way to analyze a sound and understand which frequencies are more prominent, and then take those frequencies and use them or process them in a certain way. So let's just try one of them and see what happens. Let's try the Berlin one. This is kind of cool. Let's remove the EQ. And I'll put a filter on the resonator itself. So, okay, this is a little bit of cheating because all it did was to take certain frequencies that we chose from the sound and elevate those. So this is what we're hearing. So we're gonna try something else. What are we gonna try? Reverbs and resonators, pitch and modulation. Let's try pitch shifter. Okay, interesting. I think, what about a spectral blur? Oh, that almost makes it sound like a wave in the ocean. Like if I take this recording and I just chop it. Let's listen to this. Right? Doesn't it sound like waves in the ocean? What this one does is kind of like blurs the frequencies together. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Another thing that we can do, I want to get back to, let's see, modulators? No. Let's go back to resonators. And go to a spectral resonator. Let's take, I don't know, drum snow? Okay, this is a little too much. I'm gonna put it on the main frequency. This is a little too much. Let's try a different. Let's try just this one. Okay, this is starting to get interesting. I'm gonna get the bigger recording, this one, and then I'm gonna hit Command L to loop it. So this is with the EQ that is filtering some of the sound and without the spectral blur. You can tell which one I'm using because I have those like dots on it. I'm just gonna remove this one. And let's see what happened when we add more frequencies in. This is very, very interesting. Something that I noticed about the spectral resonator is that you can control it using a MIDI input. So you can send it a note using MIDI and it's going to change the frequency of the sound based on that. So we can basically create a new instrument using this AC noise. So I'm going to hit MIDI and then go to MIDI form. And I'm going to control it using the first channel, one MIDI, this one. We can rename that channel. So Command R. And we can call it air conditioner, aircon MIDI controller. Aircon MIDI controller. And now as I'm on this channel, actually let me just open the keyboard. So I have a computer MIDI keyboard. Oh, they don't have a visual one. So basically, I'm going to be playing notes. And based on those notes, that's kind of cool. The other thing that I can do with the spectral resonator, I have a few different modes in this. So this is the main mode, but I can change it to chorus mode. So it will start shifting the waveform. And it's like coming in and out of phase basically. So that's the kind of structure, like the texture that we're hearing. My favorite mode is granular, so it takes the sound and chops it into like tiny, tiny grains and kind of plays around with those grains. So we can't hear anything because most of the grains are... Oh, we can hear it. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to open up the upper harmonics, and then it's really going to get crazy. Isn't that cool? I'm going to go back to internal. This could be like if you have a video game and you have data or signals moving or some kind of acute representations of computer science, can use this. Like bits of data moving. I wonder, I just kind of want to try this. It might sound horrible, but I want to add a vocoder on top of it. Oh, it sounds wet. Okay, let's try this without the spectral resonator and only the vocoder. Yeah, it just sounds wet. Yeah, no, I don't like the vocoder. I'm going back to this and... I have a high frequency dampener that removes some of the higher frequencies. I think I'm not gonna like it, but let's try it. Actually, it doesn't sound that bad. Let's go with the low frequency damp. And now this one doesn't matter anymore because it doesn't do anything, so I can just remove the EQ8. So you have it, two techniques at one. Once, like the first one, we made the sound of an earthquake out of it. And the second one, we made the sound of data out of just an iPhone recording of air conditioner. I hope that inspired you to create really good sounds and not to give up. Even if something sounds bad, it has a lot of potential in it. Sound is just frequencies and moving air, and it has life in it. So the more you play around with this, the more you find different opportunities or things that you can do with it. Just keep an open mind, and I'll see you in the next video.